Supervisor Heidel, we're ready to start.
All right, very good. We've got the full board here, it looks like. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is a special board meeting of the El Dorado County Board of Supervisors held this day, Thursday, September 30th at 1 p.m. And with that, would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
to
to
the
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, very good. So next item is adoption of the agenda. So I think unless the board has any inputs, I think we're good with just going ahead and moving adoption.
Move for adoption?
Second.
Very good. All we need a roll call vote, please, Kim, since we have some of us participating via Zoom.
Of course. The Supervisor Novosel, how do you vote?
Aye.
The Supervisor Parlin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Supervisor Turnbull, how do you vote?
Aye.
The Supervisor Thomas, how do you vote? Aye. The Supervisor Heidel, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. And so we are at our 1 p.m. time allocated item, then item 1. And Kim, if you would please read that.
Item 1 comes from the Chief Administrative Office recommending the board authorize the chair to sign a letter to the President of the United States urging his approval of individual assistance as part of the major disaster declaration for the Caldor fire.
Very good. So does our CAO want to comment, or anyone else want to comment on the letter construction? I've seen some emails. I don't know what we want to do for a lead in here, but.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Don Ashton, your CAO. I'll start with the reason we're here, and I can talk about the emails you're receiving in a minute. But the primary reason we're here is because, at least as of last night, late last night, we had not received, we have been told FEMA has not made a decision in regards to the request from the county and Cal OES for individual assistance. To put some perspective behind that, Napa County waited up to 6 weeks for their approval. Others in the nation have happened much more quickly. In conversations I've had with Congressman McClintock's office, as well as Cal OES, as of about an hour ago, they are in complete support of the county taking the action at this time, simply to make the request of the president, but also remind the president of his verbal commitment to El Dorado County. So that again, that's the primary reason we are here. The sheriff is on the line. I'd like him to make any opening comments as well. But before he does, I am aware you are receiving emails about the format, the content, things like that. I'm going to be the first to admit I've never written a letter to the President of the United States. The format of this was modeled after Congressman McClintock's letter that he sent last week. It was also reviewed and edited by David Turch and Associates, which, for those who are not aware, is the county's federal lobbyist who works closely with the White House and Congress on federal-based issues. And their response, they had a few edits, and their response was, it looks great. And it meets its intended purpose, which is simply to remind the president of his commitment and the need for assistance. So I will leave it at that and maybe ask the sheriff if he has any comments, and then can answer board questions.
Thank you, Board Chair Donnie Agostini. Thank you, CAO Ashton. No, I just want to reiterate that I support this as well. I have been in contact with Congressman McClintock and OES, Director Ghilarducci, as well as Chief Pazin, back and forth, just waiting for news. I think it's appropriate at this time, given the comments that the president made to CAO Ashton at the briefing that he had when he was up here during the fire, to remind him of that, and hopefully get this declaration, this IA signed for our community. So I support this wholeheartedly, and the wording with it, as CAO Ashton said, is appropriate. It has been reviewed, and I think the sooner we get it off, the sooner we can get it in some of his staff's hands, they can read it. Maybe some, for lack of a better term, no pun intended, some fires could be lit down back east to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. So I'll just start with a comment that I, from my work experience, know that when you're writing a letter to an executive, you keep it short and to the point. Long letters would not work here. We really need to be right on track and right on target with what we're trying to convey. I believe the letter fully expresses my thoughts on it, and I think it brings in the context of the meeting that Don Ashton had with the president and the commitments that were verbally made by the president at the time. So this is just reinforcing, backing that up, follow-up, if you will, to try to help convince our president to sign off on this so that the more than 1,000 victims in terms of home losses in El Dorado County will receive the FEMA individual support, which is essential to a lot of them being able to survive this. Otherwise, without fire insurance, a lot of people have probably lost everything. So it's absolutely critical that we get it in quickly. It's absolutely critical that the short letter content is there. And I think all the proper messages are conveyed. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, but I would like to hear from the other supervisors before we open up for public comment. So who would like to go first? I don't have the lights in front of me, so you'll have to raise
I
your hand.
have my hand raised.
All
I
right,
have my hand raised here.
all right, please do. Supervisor Novosel.
Thank you.
please.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree that we need to write this letter to the president and see if we can get this IA moving forward. I just do want to make a comment because specifically in the staff report, it talks about there being a collaboration between Cal OES and El Dorado counties to assess the residential impacts of the Caldor fire and to analyze the demographics of the affected area. So my question is, what else besides Grizzly Flats was analyzed? Were the other homes that were also burned analyzed, and what were the demographics in those areas?
Supervisor Novosel, Sheriff, I can tell you that the entire incident was analyzed, every loss, every statistic that Cal OES could put together to come up with our office, with the surveyor's office, everybody came together on this. So yes, they have the stats for everything, not just Grizzly Flats. They have Phillips, they have the top of the hill, they have it all. That's why it's amazing to me with the numbers that we have compared to some of the other incidents around the nation that have been approved, that this has not just been one that has been easy for them. One of the reasons that was given to me was they take them on weather events. They're grouped together in weather events. And the Caldor fire was a completely separate weather event in and of itself. And that's why early on, they were saying they were having issues with getting the correct statistics together. I think we've overcome that. I think OES and our office and everybody else in the county have overcome that. It's just been a waiting game. And it's not so much the president signing it. This letter is to encourage the president to get FEMA to sign off on it. And that's where it seems that the missing link is FEMA's been very quiet about it. And that's what has us all worried, is the silence. So, but yeah, to answer your question simply, yes, everything has been taken into account and provided.
Yeah, and I guess my question, frankly, was because there were other areas other than Grizzly Flats that were affected. There was Kybers, there was Phillips Tracks, there's Aspen Creek Tracks. Many of those were second homes, but there are some that were permanent residences. And being that we have permanent residences other than Grizzly Flats that have been flattened, and I have my same concerns. I do want to say I spoke to Don Ashton, our CAO, about this, my concern of making sure we included everybody that was affected. I believe the response was that there's going to be some separate actions that we are going to be able to look at for other areas, but and because of the impact, obviously the mass destruction at Grizzly Flats is of major concern. But I just want to make sure, as a as a representative for the other areas that had over 100 homes destroyed, that we don't that we don't overlook that, and that we have a plan for that. And I believe we do, but I just wanted to make it public that there are concerns for the entirety of the area that had destruction, and it was there were other areas, but absolutely, again, I think this makes sense that we start this process for those IAs, but do want to make sure that we include in our discussions with Cali, OES, and FEMA, that there's a lot of other issues other than, one specific area that we really need to talk countywide on the destruction of all the areas. So I just want to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Other supervisors?
Well, I just want to say a few things. And despite the governor's request for individual assistance, the president has not made it available to El Dorado County. Our evacuee count and now wildfire homelessness are not getting what the law allows. Our uninsured or underinsured population is very significant. And I was told and looked back at some of the history and stuff. We have never had any presidential support in El Dorado County for over 56 years. We need the support now. These individuals are really suffering in Grizzly Flat and the rest of our county. People have lost their homes, but also lost their incomes. It's sad. We have issues with water situations in Grizzly Flat where there's no water there. They only have enough water to be able to flush the toilets, but there is not good potable water. We need the support to help these residents. These residents are in dire need right now. And my emails have been beat up every day from people crying, even calling me and crying on the phone. What can you do to help us? The president needs to step up. FEMA needs to step up, sign this so we can support these people and the residents so they can have their lives back. That's all I can say.
Thank you, George.
I do have some quick questions, John.
Sure.
All right. So, I mean, getting back to the emails that we've been receiving, and, we could wordsmith all day on a letter. My question to you is the letter the only thing we're sending, or is there additional information that we are sending to the president?
So I want to make sure, and the sheriff mentioned this, but some may have missed it. This has not made it to the president's desk yet.
Right.
The request for individual assistance. It's still with FEMA.
Okay.
The president is the only person who can override FEMA's decision if they choose to say no. So this is a request to ask him to do so if that answer is no. This is all we are sending, but he will receive everything that has been provided to FEMA from Cal OES and our sheriff's office, which is quite frankly, is actually quite extensive of documentation. So it's really trying to balance what the White House will read and receive, or will read if they receive it. And basically, from my perspective, trust the process that we've been advised to by the people we pay to be our experts in this.
I think that's helpful in understanding that all the details and, will be sent in other ways. He will have all that supporting documentation in order to make an informed decision. And this letter just needs to accomplish getting his attention. So, okay, great. Thank you.
Can I piggyback on that real quick? You mentioned FEMA. Are we CCing? I take it that we are going to be sending copies of this to Cal OES and FEMA. Somebody had asked that. I just want to make sure we're clear that we are getting copies to make sure everyone's aware of what we're doing. Yes,
this is going to be pretty widespread. You'll see the formal CCs on the letter are our state senators and our congressmen. David Turch and Associates is going to get a copy, and he's going to be reaching out to those senators and congressmen as well to ask how he can help. Cal OES, they're probably listening to this meeting. They're waiting for a copy as well. The U.S. Forest Service, they'll get blind copies on it, but it's going to be pretty widespread for sure.
Yes, I'll piggyback to it. I viewed this as a direct and personal communication to the president. This is an appeal that's asking him that despite what FEMA may come up as a recommendation, that he really consider all of the losses, all the devastation that's happened. And in his heart of hearts, he would step up and sign the authorization. That's the way I view it. It's a letter to try to appeal to him personally with a lot of other communication going to other people, but it takes on a different context than submitting a lot of information, trying to provide data and backup. It's really at the personal level in terms of communications. So, Lori, your thoughts?
Got it. Thank you. I think we should send the letter. Sorry, I was a few minutes late. So I missed some explanation, I think, but I did not realize until Dawn, I think you just explained in response to Supervisor Thomas. So FEMA has not actually gotten their package to the president, and this letter is being sent in anticipation of that. So when he gets his hands on the FEMA packet, he will sign it as soon as possible. Is that correct?
Well, and I'll ask the sheriff to jump in after me. I hope the president doesn't have to make a decision, because I hope FEMA says yes. And then he'll never see anything.
Okay, got it.
This is in the event FEMA says no, because we haven't heard an answer yet and is trying to keep the momentum moving.
Oh, all right. So are we also in contact with FEMA then? Is there, or is that not, is it too premature to do that? To say, how's it going? Or can you guys expedite this? Or, and I'm aware of FEMA and expedite.
Well, I'll go first. I have not been in contact with FEMA since the briefing, but I was on the phone with the deputy director in Cal OES. I was there with Carla Hass and Sergeant Alway from the sheriff's office about an hour and a half ago. And they were in contact with FEMA as early as this morning. And they are also requesting a meeting with FEMA. I'm sorry, I'm switching gears. They're requesting a meeting with the U.S. Forest Service on the Khyber's area for next week. But Cal OES is, from my perspective, is the lead to FEMA, and they've been very supportive of this request so far. I don't know if the sheriff has anything he'd like to add or differs.
No, I'd just like to add that this is all FEMA right now. The letter to the president is to encourage him to hopefully encourage FEMA to hurry up and approve this. Got it. If FEMA does not approve this, if they deny it, there really is no appeal other than the president of the United States. So hence the purpose of the letter, to expedite FEMA. Hopefully he can get them to move faster and make a decision. And then if they do deny it, to plead with him, and we'll probably follow up later with that, with the plea to override that.
Got it. Thank you. That helps.
I also think this letter is a helpful support to the personal assurance he gave you at the briefing, that he would do what they would do, whatever it takes to take care of El Dorado County. So I think this is a helpful follow-up to that.
I'd like to add something real quick here to Supervisor Turnbow's statements. Right now, I think the tack we're taking and the direction that this is going, it's as CAO Ashton said, it's the process. Now I don't believe would be the time to really start pushing hard and pointing fingers. There may come a time for that, because you know me of everybody. We have a bunch of non-elected folks making a decision on something that affects a lot of our constituents. That bugs me. But we're not there yet. Right now, let's let this process move. It is moving. Like you said, Napa took up to 6 weeks. We're just a few weeks after the incident and submission. So let's just let this go this route, and hopefully it'll go our way and everything will go smooth, and our citizens will be taken care of. But if we start pointing fingers and making noise, I fear that somebody may start digging heels in, and then it will just make matters worse. So let's just watch this process and stay on top of it like we are.
Okay.
Don, I had one more question, please.
Please, go ahead.
Thank you. The demographics, I would like to be able to take a look at that. I honestly haven't seen anything about this until it was put into public records. And I don't see that demographics background on our casualties here. I would like to get that information, please.
Yes, we will share that. And so the board is aware. Carla Moki and I spoke the other day. I can't remember what day. They all run together. We're working on a regular communication plan / report something that can be done efficiently and expeditiously to the board on a regular basis, so you're aware what's going on.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I know it's going fast and I don't want to, I'm not trying to beat anyone up, but I do need that information to get out to my constituents so we all understand what we're doing. Thank you.
Well, and Supervisor Novosel, I'll follow up with you after this meeting regarding the conversations I had earlier this morning and the Forest Service leased cabins and things.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no more board inputs, I think we're ready to open it up for public comment. So Kim, if you would please do that for obviously members in the present in the boardroom to start with, and then we'll go to Zoom and phone in callers.
Now taking public comment on item number 1. Individuals will have 3 minutes to address the board. Public comment will be taken from those participating in the boardroom and then from those participating through Zoom. For those participating by Zoom, please make sure you unmute yourself when called upon. If you're joining the meeting by phone, press *9 to indicate a desire to comment. If you're joining by Zoom, press the raise hand button. Please voluntarily state your name for the record. There is no participation from the boardroom, so we'll be taking calls from our Zoom participants. Now taking public comment from 390.
Ken, you're still muted.
Good afternoon, board. Yeah, this is Ken Greenwood from District 2. The need for the letter is unmistakable. That is not the issue. That's not why I am upset about this situation here. It's not about anything but the best interests of the residents of El Dorado County who are in dire need of financial assistance and nothing else. You just said it. Somebody has mentioned that this is a personal appeal to the president. The office of the president should be honored. It should be respected, no matter who is in that office. In this case, it's Joseph Biden. And therefore, it should address him correctly and formally. If we are asking him for not special treatment, but to receive treatment, if you will, we need to do it according to tradition. And just formatting it, Google search format of letter to the president. It's very clear how we address the president. It is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It is the White House. It is the President of the United States. That's all we're after. And it just embarrasses me that this looks like something that was thrown together. And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, and it's no time for debating, the need for this, because the need is obvious. The format is obviously incorrect and doesn't honor. And that's all I really am getting at here. And most of the people who have issues with this, that's their issue too. And it would be as simple as putting it through a word processor, taking 10 minutes right now, 15 minutes, whatever, come back with a revised letter. I would have hoped that it would have been revised already and presented to the board. It's a simple thing to do. Sheriff DeAugustini wrote a letter to the president many years ago about the Forest Service law enforcement officials out in the woods being a little too over aggressive implementing the California Penal Code. I can't pull it up on my computer. I know it's here somewhere, but I recall that his letterhead on it, or if you will, or his format on it, did address the president correctly. Again, it's not the content of the letter so much.
10 seconds remaining.
Thank you. But the issue is the format. And if I were sending a letter to the president of the United States, I would format it correctly. I would put a header on page number 2. I would do it according to traditional methods because he's a traditional guy. Let's face it. And, and we're a sophisticated county. So let's please make it look that way. That's all I'm asking. I think that's all we could ever ask. Thank you very much.
Thank
Do
you,
the
Kim.
right thing.
There's no additional public comment.
Okay, so back to staff if they want to make any additional comments. Don Ashton, I guess we can start with you on the way the letter is addressed and
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Chair. The traditional way is exactly how it's written here. If you go to different presidential archives, we looked, like I said, we've never done this before. That's exactly how it's written here. That said, when we received some of the, and I had a conversation with Mr. Greenwood yesterday, and when we received some of the comments, we looked to see how this current president would like it addressed, and it would include the 1600 West Pennsylvania Boulevard. So we're happy to make that change. But I'm going to say it's not incorrect the way it is. That's from different sources, but this president prefers it to have 1600 West Pennsylvania Boulevard. So that's on page 1. That's an easy change. The other formatting things, we believe it's fine, and like I said, consistent with the best practices of our congressman and our lobbyist who advise us on these matters.
okay, thank you, Don. Is there any other staff comments to the one public input we had? I can't see anybody in the room, but I'm guessing there isn't. So with that, I think it comes back to the board for action. So the pleasure of the board.
Move to send it with the address change, I think is all we're going to change, right?
Yeah, adding to Pennsylvania Avenue, the actual address, yes.
I will second.
All right, very good. And Kim, would you do roll call, please, since we are not all together?
Of course. Supervisor Thomas, how do you vote?
Aye.
Supervisor Turnbull, how do you vote?
Aye.
Supervisor Parlin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Supervisor Novosel, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Supervisor Heidel, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, thank you. So I think we're ready for adjournment unless the CAO has something else that we need to note before we close this meeting down.
I don't have anything further, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Actually, one quick question. Will this go out right away then?
I believe we have a signed copy, Kim. Are we good with that? So then, yes, it will be going out today. I'll make sure you all get copies as well, and you can share as you feel appropriate.
I'm so glad you're utilizing our lobbyists too to get it in the right hands and reach out to him
And
for support.
just to reemphasize what Supervisor Novosel asked, it will go to the those who are officially copied. It will go to our lobbyists. It will go to Congressman McClintock. Well, he's one of the CCs. It will also go to Cal OES as they work to assist us with getting this approval.
Appreciate your work on this.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. So I
Thank you.
hereby adjourn the meeting at 1:31. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.